Welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to be talking about QwenPaw and OpenClaw. So a lot of people just believe that maybe we have just only one assistant available. They are numerous, but I selected these two because a lot of people they seem to have like much GitHub stars and a lot. So let's look at what this guy says here. He said finally got around setting up OpenClaw and it's truly the best AI tool at the moment. Really? Let's see what this one has to say. Say finally set up OpenClaw today and I'm completely blown away. This is the closest to experiencing an AI-enabled future, really. So we're going to find out at the end if truly OpenClaw is actually what all this. So QwenPaw is actually also an AI assistant. So if you look at it here, say your personal AI assistants work for you, grows with you. So we're going to see what makes this assistant actually something you should be looking up to. So one of it is that you could see here that it is actually so they said Gwen means intelligence and then power means warmth. So they're just trying to talk about some of the features of it. You could also argue that these features are valuable in OpenClaw, but wait till the end. You will figure out which one is actually better for your use case because I think one is better than the other, but I'm going to wait till the end and see what you also think about them. So you could see here like the overall architectural pattern of QwenPaw. You could see that it has layer one, is built on top of Fast API. Uh, it has layer three, has to do about things like cron job, MCP client, and then you have layer four and layer five, which to me is built on top of the AgentScope agent framework. So we're going to see. So QwenPaw is not just a single, it's built on top of AgentScope. So you see, AgentScope is this entire team of people building AI agents. They have a runtime for their AI agents to run on Kubernetes. They have a lot out of the box, not just the assistant itself. So you could see here they also have this Gwen High Claw, which is actually a way to kind of like run companies on QwenPaw. So you could see here, basically there's a presentation about it here, talking about uh, how you could run multi and a multi-agent team. You see Alice being a front-end developer, Bob being a back-end developer, Carol for testing, and Dave for docs. So the high cloud sits on top of QwenPaw or whatever other agent you're using. Like you could also use it with like OpenClaw also. So let's see. So this is the entire team, and this is kind of like the infra behind uh, uh, QwenPaw. So you see here that apart from the console application, for example, where you have like your Telegram, your Discord server, you see that it is the agentic system itself is built on top of this agent scope framework. And REME here is kind of more like a memory system that the agent scope team built to support. And one of the things that make QwenPaw also spectacular is the fact that they have these models that are built around it. So you could see here that it has the AgentScope team actually released models that are kind of like trained and optimized to work with the QwenPaw autonomous agent scenario. So, and this model kind of like has a really nice performance with regards to, so you could see here with regards to like the top models we have today. So you could see how it performed with regards other models, for example, Gwen 3.5. So, and also if you look down here, let's see. So it gives you like other stats as well. So you see here its performance against 5GPT, 5.4, and the rest. So let's also see OpenClaw. So OpenClaw, according to what they say here, he said the AI that actually does things, clears your inbox, send emails. So they talked about it here, and you also saw what people had to say about it. So as far as I'm concerned, OpenClaw is built on top of this Pi. So the entire code base, if you look at the entire code base of OpenClaw, so if you go here and look at the OpenClaw code base and look at what was used in developing it, you will discover that it was built on top of, it's mostly using TypeScript. So TypeScript and JavaScript. But if you look at the uh, Agent Scope team, the major languages they use here are Python, TypeScript, and Java and Go. So if you look at the projects they have here, I think we should check repositories so that we see that clearly. So in the repositories here, you see clearly that the main language used here, 97.1% here goes to Python. So that means the entire framework itself is on Python. So let's see other differences as well. So you see here, the team here, uh, being the agent scope team. For OpenClaw, it's just a single guy called Peter Steinberger, although now there is a community that has grown behind it. So this one is community grown, this one is organization grown. So if you prefer that, and also for the fact that most people will kind of say this is actually built by an organization that is based in China. This is more open with a lot of content. So, in terms of programming languages, just like I showed you, you discover that the GwenPaw is kind of like Python first, while OpenClaw is TypeScript first. So, so in case of this multi-agent scenario, so let's just look at the setup for OpenClaw. So let's see the OpenClaw and GwenPaw. So in GwenPaw, when you come to agent management, so it actually gives you this ability to create your own agent. So for example, I could create an agent, I could define the name of my agent, I could attach tools for it. But it's not as if you cannot do this with OpenClaw. You can also do it with OpenClaw, but I think doing it with OpenClaw require you to use the CLI. So I didn't really see. I was looking at the OpenClaw, so although they put agents here, I was looking for a place to actually create an agent. And I found out that if you want to actually do that, you could do that using the OpenClaw CLI. So let me show you how it looks like. So here we're going to look at the OpenClaw CLI. So if you see here, OpenClaw, then dash dash help, I think this will be better. So you see here that out of the box, OpenClaw gives you this thing called agents. So, but they are more like managed isolated agents. So it creates workspace auth routing. For example, if you have a channel like WhatsApp, you could scope an agent to that channel. But for GwenPaw, I think I kind of like this their approach where you kind of like have your agents here. So you can manage your agents directly within a single agent. So you have a default agent that comes, and then you can create multiple agents on top of your default agents. And Guapa also has a CLI built on top of their system. So, and if you look at the CLI, you could also do a lot with the CLI. So let's see the Guampa CLI. So here you have agents too. So you could manage agent and inter-agent communication. So you see, and then you could manage ACP. But let me show you what is interesting. So you could create what they call a task. So a task runs an instruction headlessly. So you could define a task. You could assign this task to a particular agent. And then that agent, so let's say you define an agent. So if we say, for example, GwenPaw agents, then you say list. So this is going to give you all your agents that you have in your system. And you could see here that every single agent, for example, this agent called deep learning, AI software engineer specialized in deep learning. So if you look at this now, it has a model that is attached to it. I'm running it with GLM 5.1. It has an ID. So based on this ID, I can define a task and assign the task on the CLI to this agent. And that task is going to run all the way to the end. So you see, you can manage your models directly from here. You can set up cron. You could also argue that OpenClaw also has the same functionality. So you could do a lot also here. Um, you could create charts, open a local chat terminal. You could define agents, which is just workspace, auth, and routing. You could run one agent turn via the gateway. So you can define channels. So let's go back to seeing the differences more deep. So where it lives. So you when you saw the channels, when I was showing you the channels, you could discover that OpenClaw has more channels possibilities. So if you look at OnePower here and you come to channels, so let's look at channels. You see here that you have more of the channels here are like Chinese providers. So you have like Issue, you have DingTalk, you have Telegram. I think the one I've been using so far has been Telegram. So I've been using Telegram with one of my agents, this particular agent called vFire. So you see, Telegram is enabled here. I'm controlling and chatting and getting tasks done via this agent on my phone. So, but when you look at the GwenPaw, you discover that you have more channels than. So you could see there's Telegram, uh, there's WhatsApp here. You don't have WhatsApp out of the box here. So you see, generally you have more channels available for OpenClaw. So if channels is actually one of the things that concern you, then you are quite limited with so OnePower has this thing called tool guard. So you could see here that means your tools don't just have the freedom to do whatever they like. So they are kind of limited. So under security, you see here, you have enable tool guard. So if you enable tool guard, there are some commands that uh, your agents will not be allowed to do. So that are critical to the operation of your system. So with this, you are able to, so it has tool guard, it has a file guard and then skill scanner. So this skill scanner, sometimes there are malicious content that can be found in your skill. OpenCloud, GwenPaw is able to detect them and avert them. So, and the same thing here for OpenClaw. So you see DM pairing, sandbox mode, unknown sender get a paired code must be provided via CLI, you see. So tool allow list. So this is similar to this tool guard. And then OpenClaw Doctor also kind of like fixes and making sure that things go well. Gwampa also has a Gwampa Doctor as well. So I think the future wise they match each other, but I think there are some subtle differences that will actually make you to decide which one to choose. So in terms of stars by numbers, you could see that OpenClaw is really, really more popular and more mainstream in the West. But I think more like in China, I think Guanpa is kind of like most people's favorite. So in a quick comparison here, you could see that for language, you could see uh, the language is Python. For major language here is Python. For OpenClaw is TypeScript. For the team, you have the AgentScope team, which I just showed you. For agent mode, you could see that GwenPaw works to me very much with in a multi-agent scenario in terms of like the underlying agentic framework. You could see here for AgentScope for GwenPaw is kind of like PyMono. So you could see, and then for to install here, you just do a pip install. Here, you can use npm install.g. Although this is just beyond, it's just beyond that. So you could see uh, voice, voice kind of like plan, but voice also exists, but not so much like you have in OpenClaw. So license wise, you could see it's almost similar licenses. OpenClaw works very much with local models. I could tell you. In fact, they even have their own model that is fine tuned for their scenario, just as I show you. So if you come to model management, uh, you could see here that you could download their own model. So this is their model. You could start it. You could download at a very low quantization, which actually is great for me. So in terms of security, you could see here that uh, all of them seem to be somehow secure. And OpenClaw is kind of like reducing the entire scope. They are kind of like uh, stripping down some components of the application to create a core in order to avoid poisoning that might come from packages. So this is overall what you choose depends on what you actually want. So if you want the widest channel coverage, you want WhatsApp, definitely you will choose OpenClaw. If you are a JavaScript and TypeScript developer that is comfortable with all things JavaScript, I think OpenClaw is for you. But if you work more with Python and you love like working with your building agents with Python and you love the AgentScope framework or any other Python framework, I think GwenPaw will be for you. If you want to, if you really like working with Gwen models, I think this is so this project to me is likely structured, organized with a clear roadmap. So I think this one, the changes can be massive. I think this one is for me. I feel like the AgentScope team, most of their stops are well designed. They've been here for a while and they seem to be a really great team. So it's left for you right now to choose which one really meets up with what you want. At the end of the day, you won't be wrong choosing any of them. But for me, my favorite framework of choice is GwenPa. And I think I've been enjoying it the most. And if you've not tried it, I want you to give it a try. But if you've been using OpenClaw, I will also want you to if you feel OpenClaw meets kind of like your requirement, I'm not saying it's bad in any way. Uh, Continue using it. I think it's a great framework as well. So thank you. Please, if you like this kind of content, please subscribe to my channel and I will keep them coming.